Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on these two knives, and these are two new Barlows from Cooper Cutlery under the Schatt and Morgan branding. So they come in the same type box that Queen made Schatt and Morgan knives came in, and even have the same type label. So that's a really cool thing. You might notice here on this one that this is the one for the pearl, so the P, but you can also see the NY. They did do some New York Knife Company knives and New York Knife Company Barlows, particularly in pearl. I actually bought one, but don't have it yet to show you. But this is not that. You'll see why it has the NY on here in a little bit, but these are the 69 pattern. So it's a very classic Barlow pattern, and it's one that I've been really looking forward to because Cooper has been kind of teasing these for a long time, like maybe a year, something like that. And especially when I saw that they were doing Abalone, because I love Abalone in general. The Great Eastern Cutlery Rendezvous special knife for this year was an Abalone number 86 Barlow. So I knew it would be a really cool comparison. And then I was also excited to see pearl because I don't have any pearl Barlows, and it's just a really cool cover. Now, they also did some interior mammoth ivory, which I would love to get one. I haven't been able to yet. But just some really cool cover options on this run, including some wood covers, ebony, and some bone covers. But these are the two that I have gotten so far, and I just wanted to show these to you. And first of all, I'll show you the etches. The stamps. They are stamped S&M for Schatt and Morgan. That's, again, the bolster stamp. S&M is for Schatt and Morgan, not anything else. It's for Schatt and Morgan. You can see that it's only on the front bolster, but this one is Schatt and Morgan New York. Now, it's an interesting callback to when Schatt and Morgan was in New York, which is actually before it was in Titusville, Pennsylvania. But now these are actually made in Ohio. So Cooper Cutlery is in Ohio, and it's interesting to see this particular stamp. I'm sure it's just one of the stamps that was included when Cooper Cutlery bought the stamps from Queen. But you can see it's stamped Made in the USA on the back. And then this one, same bolster stamp, but a different Tang stamp. So you can see the SM and then Winchester, Ohio. So this one is not one that would have been used previously by Schatt and Morgan or Queen. It's specific to Cooper Cutlery, but again, the Made in USA on the back. So interesting to see those different Tang stamps being used. Both of these are 1095 steel. But it's interesting, some people in the Barlow Bearcat Club, which, if you love Barlows like I do, definitely check out the Barlow Bearcat Club. But some people in the Barlow Bearcat Club kind of were finding that these didn't patina as quickly as they were expecting, particularly compared to GEC. But they did patina. So I think that they are 1095. I'm not like a metallurgist or anything, but sometimes things just don't patina as quickly as others. It can be the finish, it can be the heat treat, even something like that. But just a kind of an interesting note, these are carbon steel. I prefer stainless steel. I wish that USA traditional knife manufacturers, other than Case, would use more stainless steel. Particularly GEC, and Cooper does use stainless steel, but I would love to see more stainless. I prefer it. But these have a pretty thick blade stock. So I'll show you compared to, again, the Great Eastern Cutlery 2024 Rendezvous Special number 86 Barlow. You can see that the Cooper is a little thicker. It's not like vastly thicker, but it's definitely a little thicker. And I'll also show you a length comparison here between the two. You can see that the Cooper is smaller than an 86 for sure. But compared to a 15, here is a GEC 15, you can see that the Cooper is a little bigger in its dimensions, pretty similar in its length, but just a little bit kind of wider, stouter. So it's a very kind of medium-sized Barlow and a very classic spear point blade. You've got a pretty good point on it, a little bit of belly, definitely some drop to it, and a very, typical flat grind. And this is a very classic Barlow. So you can see, again, classic rounded butt. It has the elongated bolster, and again, a very classic spear point. Now, to me, the main thing that stuck out about these two, again, are the really exotic handle materials. So this is abalone, and there is some difference between this abalone and the abalone on this GEC. So this abalone on the GEC is what you call a looking glass. So it's a veneer. There's clear acrylic over a thin sheet of abalone. And GEC also uses this type of abalone sometimes, which is kind of a solid, thick composite of abalone. So you can see that there. So just kind of some difference in that. But as for the pearl, it's a really beautiful, I guess technically mother of pearl, but really beautiful look to it. Lots of chatoyance. And one interesting difference that I noticed is the pins. So on the abalone, they were able to rivet these pins, so they're normal, process. But on the pearl, because it's fragile, it's easy to crack, they said that they had to do this by hand. So that's why you can see that the pins, particularly this one and this one, which are the cover pins and not the spring pins, are smaller on the pearl than on the abalone. So kind of an interesting difference there, just, more handwork that goes into the pearl. And the pearl was more expensive. The pearl was $220 for me and $180 for the abalone. That's what I got them from Cooper Cutlery. Then they did, like I say, release some New York Knife Company pearl Barlows, and those were also $220. So, kind of consistent there. But they have ranged in prices at their dealers. They only have a few dealers. And I think Traditional Pocket Knives was maybe the lowest price on the abalone, but I'm not real sure. But either way, they're not really inexpensive. These are exotic materials and everything. But I wanted to also talk about the quality of these knives. These are really, really nicely made. I would say, I think everybody always is interested in the GEC comparison. I would say that these are, pretty much right there with GEC, even, a good GEC. So really great action, beautiful walk and talk, right about a 5, maybe a 6, no blade play, well centered. They sit really deeply within the frame, which, if you watch my channel, I hate proud tips. No blade wrap that I can tell. That's true for both of these. They're pinchable. So really just great action. No gaps at all on the back springs of these knives. Maybe ever so slight gaps between the covers and the bolsters. I think I noticed some when I was looking at these previously, but now I'm not really noticing them. Maybe just a super, super slight gap here, but nothing major at all. No cracks at the pins. Again, just super, super well made. I really can't find much to fault them with these. And so comparing these two, I would say, again, very similar. A little bit of a, different style in that this has all of the kind of accoutrements and the lines and the rat tail and all of that, but also different in that this, has the looking glass veneer. This is the kind of laminate version. This is a rounded butt versus more of a square butt, but, similar in quality. In fact, I think that the back spring on the Coopers is probably more flush than on the GEC. On the GEC, you can kind of catch your fingernail a little bit more, and action is similar. But, the GEC does sit closer to proud. It's not proud, so I can't fault it there, but it sits a little closer to proud. So just something, to mention there. But really, I'm just super impressed by these Cooper Cutlery Barlows. I'm really interested to see how the other pearl Barlow that I get is. It'll be interesting to see if it's as well made. And I'm really excited for it. I'm really hoping that the Barlow Bearcat Club can get a club knife in the future. I don't know, if that's possible or anything, but I just think that these are super well made. Cooper Cutlery is doing a great job, and I'm excited for the future and more Barlows from them, and more knives in general. One last thing I wanted to mention here, you can see on the inside this says 50 CMC, which I think is Cooper Manufacturing Company. May God bless you. So it's a nice little touch on the inside of the liner. This one just says, may God bless you. So it is a nice little touch. I do appreciate that. And I'm really excited about these. People in the Barlow Bearcat Club have been really excited about them also. And I'm really happy to see another, USA manufacturer making some really, really nice Barlows. So keep an eye out. They did drop some of these this past weekend on Cooper Cutlery's site, but I think more will be coming. So make sure, you follow them on social media, get their newsletter, and also subscribe to the Knife Thoughts newsletter at knifethoughts.com, and subscribe to the channel here. Make sure you click the bell and select all so you know when I post new videos. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.